Hi, I was born in Glasgow, United Kingdom, hence the name of the business. I spent my young part of my childhood there. Just a normal upbringing, really. Then my father and my mother took me to South Africa to spend 5 or 6 years. I went to international schools there, also to Australia for a little while as a kid. And then, I came back to Scotland in my late teens, where I finished my school. And then, I went on to a bit of higher education in college, and then eventually Glasgow University, where I studied psychology, the arts of psychology. I got my degree there, and that was how I started the young part of my life. So a funny story that happened to me was not long after graduating, I decided to take a recruitment job in Hanoi in Vietnam. Basically, I'd done all the interviews over the phone. I'll always remember thinking, okay, I've never met anybody, but the guy convinced me, he paid for my ticket, the job was really good, a nice salary, and I arrived in 2007. Hanoi didn't have much at the time, but I arrived in 2007 at 2 a.m. I had no idea, I'd never been to Vietnam, I didn't speak the language, and nobody was there to meet me, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how far the airport was. I didn't even know how to get to the hotel. I was just told, make your way to the Dragon Hotel. I assumed there was probably a lot of Dragon hotels at the time in Hanoi. And I remember standing there thinking, should I just turn around and get on the flight home? And I used that as a lesson and a funny story to tell myself to push myself further. I think one of my greatest achievements was at the age of 25, I'd been doing recruitment for I think 4 years at this point. I'd worked in Singapore, Hong Kong, and Vietnam, as I told you in the previous story. And I decided at 25, without really knowing anything like the language or the business culture, to open a business in Vietnam, which was a recruitment company called Infinity Human Resources. I did it with a very limited amount of staff, limited knowledge, but within 2 years I became the third largest recruitment business in Vietnam with 22 staff and 3 offices. I was the first foreigner ever to be granted licenses in Vietnam in the recruitment and HR and those sectors, as well as the youngest person in Vietnam to actually own a business that wasn't Vietnamese. So that for me was a great achievement, considering I'd never actually run a business before. And I think I took all of the knowledge that people had given me, and I really used the best parts of it to do this. But after it, I was very proud of myself, and even my family was very proud of me for this achievement. Why did I decide to open Glasgow Learning Centre in Almaty? One, after coronavirus, I'd always wanted to open a language centre. I nearly got involved with 1 or 2 other centres around Asia, opening or investing into them, and I kind of wanted to do my own thing, being that I've seen a great potential for business, but also to be able to provide the people a really good service for what they're paying for. I looked at Almaty, I looked at a few other cities, but Almaty really stood out to me because of the passion that they have for learning. The people are very welcoming. It's a very business-friendly city. Regardless what people say, I found it relatively straightforward as long as you follow the process. Added all those together, as well as good analysation of the market, made sure that there's a space for us. That's really the reasons why. I think that add all those together and you've got a very, very good jumping point to make the business successful throughout Central Asia, but with the head office will always be in Almaty. I guess the goal or the ultimate dream for this venture is to become one of the biggest learning centres in the whole of Central Asia. It's a grand plan, I understand, but you must have ambition if you're going to do these things, because when you start it, if you start small, you'll end up small. Take a method of doing everything right, taking very little risk and double checking everything, and I believe with everything that I've mentioned previously, the goal will be to open as many good offices around Central Asia as we can. With Almaty being the heart of it, we will look to go to Astana and all around Kazakhstan before going into Bishkek and maybe Uzbekistan and Mongolia.